Happy Christmas, skaters. Hope you all liked your new bearings, wheels, and stuff. That's what we do at Christmas. Yes, finally got myself some nice bearings. The ones I was rolling on were like Autobahns. They're probably from like a roller skates or rollerblades or something. They're really old in German, but I liked them. You know, they were fun. But anyway, this is about the final say on these things. I have the final say. I can just focus a bit more. Final say, yes, I figured it out entirely. So, without having a diagram, um, these Bronson ones are great as well, and I'll tell you why. They Okay, so the idea of washers is it locks the center barrel of the bearing. So the whole bearing otherwise will rotate. The inner bearing will rotate slowly, and the outer one will rotate faster if your bearings aren't locked in. Like tightly gripped in, not too tightly gripped in, but tight enough to grip the center barrel. If the center barrel is gripped and locked, the bearing works properly. It'll only be running on the ball bearings and not grinding on the axle, not grinding on the center barrel itself. What was I going to say about that grinding? Yeah, so your ball bearings inside will wear down eventually, or the plastic coating that holds the ball bearings will eventually deteriorate, which is what happened to these. I even replaced my pivot cups. It took me ages to get pivot cups. Thank you to these guys sorting me out with it, like €1 a piece pivot cups. It made me so happy. They nearly laughed at me in the store about how happy I was. But I replaced the pivot cups, and it still felt like I was grinding on steel. So these were just worn down. The casing of the plastic inside these old Autobahns were completely worn down. Now, I was riding these without spacers because, again, the spacer is supposed to go in between the bearings, two bearings. And wait, I should just put it there. It's supposed to go in between. And this the reason I like these, the Bronson ones, they're perfectly flushed with these Spitfires. So sometimes you put a spacer in and it's going to be a millimeter or two too tall. You don't want that. You really don't want it. You really want it absolutely flushed. And I noticed that the ones that came with the Bronsons are absolutely flushed. They just exactly. It doesn't matter if they're loose like that. Some people go crazy that they need to be. They need to be the width of the center barrel. They're exactly the width of the center barrel. They don't need to be the diameter of the wheel in there. They just need to be exactly the width of the center barrel. Now, I only used two washers, like I was saying, so I locked the outside of one wheel and the other side of the other wheel. So this wheel spun better with the two washers, and also locked them from the outside, but not the inside. I hated the sound, which I've noticed. I thought Andy Anderson was riding on loose wheels, but he was actually riding with spacers. But I just hated the sound of the metal grinding. I'm really sensitive to metal on metal. I can't stand it. So I really didn't like the sound of skating around, particularly if it wasn't flushed. Because if it's not flushed, there's going to be more, I'm not sure what the word is, I didn't do physics, but inertia or something, more space, and then there's a chance that the wheel will slip in and out if there's, yeah. So anyway, these are perfectly flushed with these Spitfires. Again, thanks to your man down the country. Where was he? Down in South Wicklow somewhere, that sold me these for €20 for four. I was so happy with these. These are €20 a piece, pretty much. So I finally had nice things. But anyway, so where I'm going with this is what happened to these, other than riding with them locked and the ball bearings inside breaking down entirely, is I squished them. Yes, I squished because I had no center barrel. So I had them riding tight. You probably saw might have seen other videos where you see like it hardly spins at all. If you picture it in your head, I was just sitting on a bus the other day, and sitting on a bus is a great time to become a genius. You know, you got a few minutes to yourself, and you can just take the time to think about stuff. So I was just thinking about this the other day, and I just put a diagram in my head of the wheel going sideways, as in you can see through it. If I didn't have this center support, the center bearing will be squished. I see I'm squishing it in to tighten them, but then the bearing itself will be squished in, and I don't want to take it out, but there's one of two of these bearings in here that actually were caved in, as in the center barrel was pushed in. And if you think the center barrel is going to push in and like push it like kind of cone shape and push out the other side, it's going to grind on the ball bearings, and they won't freely roll as freely as these. Because I put all this together, and the wheels are spinning like really fast, like that. I was like, whoa, they're going to be so loose, and I'm going to be going so fast. And I went out to skate, and physics is just weird, or mechanics are weird, and it was just really slow. I was missing two washers. I just realized that now I'm taking it apart again. I was missing two washers, but it just wasn't as fast as having it locked, which is really counterintuitive. You think if the wheel spins like that, you're going to go faster. When I had them the other way, they were completely locked and didn't spin at all, and I went way, way faster. So that's anyway what I've finally figured out about these spacers is that if you only use two washers like I had recommended, or what I said I used, you're going to squish the two center barrels in together because there's nothing in between to support them. And then that squish is going to reduce spin, especially because if you think about jumping around on a skateboard and spinning and pivoting, it's a lot of push, pull left and right, back and forth, a lot of to and fro. So it's definitely going to squish in. So you do kind of want a center barrel support. And it's very touchy. Like definitely for transition skaters. If you're on a skate park or something, I would really recommend solid all the way through. It's a lot touchier. I can't stand the sound, but these weren't cheap, kind of, and I don't want to break them in or cone them by just using the two washer thing again. So I'm going to have to get over the sound of the grinding. They're not supposed to really grind either. Having slight rubber tips on these would be ideal, I think. If they had like little rubber coatings on each end, just for me, because I can't deal with the steel on steel. But they're technically not supposed to spin, but you do hear grinding in them. But if they did have little rubber or dipped in rubber on each end, and they really locked and cozy locked. I've already got one in there. What am I doing? That would be nice. I don't know. hint to any Shakejunt or Bronson or anybody that makes bearings. That one even looks coned already, just from me taking things on and off and testing things. So, and sort of strangely enough, these guys are on the outside. I was reading that these have to go on the outside. I think that's to prevent your nut or your truck from grinding, and twisting and pivoting and breaking the casing on the bearing. Because we think your nut, see the way the nut kind of protrudes. So if the wheel does, I want to focus this. So if the wheel does kind of turn, I think it's supposed to, or turn or touch off the truck hanger in there. It's to prevent it grinding or rubbing off the casing. Don't know. Anyway, but that's just final say on washers. I don't see, I think if you skate without washers or you skate without spacers and you leave your wheels like loose, wobble, which most people probably do, it might be good for doing some things like setting up a flip trick or setting up a pop shove kind of thing. You can twist and the board is slightly twisted, so when you release it pops better. But just with wheel wobble when you're going fast, and you just kind of want to keep things tight, but not too tight, so you squish them. So anyway, happy Christmas, everybody. Shakejunt. Thanks for Bronson. Well, I haven't thanked Bronson yet. I haven't really tried them out, but thanks to Autobahn so far. Thanks to my friend from Spitfires. And also finally discovered who was Matthew Wilcox is. I remember I saw Matthew Wilcox once, and I wanted to know who he was. I couldn't get his identity. And then I saw Andy Anderson versus Gregson at Mano a Mano. And I thought, oh, that's probably the Gregson lad, because he's the lad with the hair. There's the lad with the hair. And I was like, Gregson was good. And then I found out Matthew Wilcox is a completely different person. And I was like, fucking hell. Sorry, excuse me. And he's absolutely amazing. He's absolutely freaking. I think Powell Peralta got him, or he's on with them now. But, oh my God, yeah. Well, it's some amazing stuff. Everyone's got their own style, different things, but Von Wilcox, man. And he does ride with a helmet. I even messaged him saying, man, please put on a helmet. You're like the best skater I've ever seen. But so happy Christmas, everybody. And that's the final mechanics and physics, probably the last word on these things that no one's really certain about. All right, peace out if you